Monday Encore, brought to you by Jack's Tyres.
Barrel. Going all the way.
Just look at Petricelli just blitzes past the ball. The speedster.
Liver.
Racing away, streaking away, Petricelli.
They end at 50 again to go in.
Here they go.
This is the ball. Long kick. McCarthy. Trying to beat Big Red.
He does go on the left. It's coming back. Wow.
Hipwood at full stride, open square. Oscar's going to watch this sail through.
And 2 out of 3 ain't bad. The Adelaide Crows are AFLW premiers for the second time.
The pick of the action from round 2. Brad Scott, North Melbourne coach, welcome.
Thanks, Jared.
No, Brad.
Here we go, Robbo. Ken Hinkley, Port Adelaide coach. Great to have you with us, Kenny.
Thanks, Jared, Robbo, Brad.
It's totally natural, Robbo.
I'm out of wacky. I'm out of whack. Anyway.
You'll catch up. Hey, a moment from the weekend before we delve into the deeper topics. Tom Hawkins giving Jordan Clark his first goal after Clark had set him up. What do you see in a moment of teamsmanship like this, Brad?
Oh, I just think it's fantastic. I mean, as a coach, you're looking for a bit of camaraderie and a bit of feeling. And when you're a young player, you just want a young player to go out and perform his role. But when you see something like this, there's obviously something pretty special going on behind the scenes.
It's pretty funny, Ken, because sometimes I reckon you coaches get really frustrated when players try to be too selfless. And you think, kick the goal. But when you saw the smiles on everyone's faces here, you saw a selfless Tom Hawkins and you saw a selfless team play the game.
Yeah, you do, and you felt the joy. I think I felt the joy of Chris when you've seen his reaction as well. I thought, Hawk's just a fantastic person, and to share the ball with a young fella to kick his first goal is a pretty special moment. I say congratulations.
What can you tell us about Jack Watts, Kenny? What have you been told during the day?
Yeah, well, Jack's had some surgery. He's had some significant surgery. He's got he had a partially dislocated ankle. He had a syndesmosis injury, and he had a broken leg. So he got one with a lot, but the good news is that surgery and everything else has gone really well. Spoken to Jack today. He's obviously he's a bit sore and sorry at the moment, but he's pretty positive about his outcomes, and even our doctors are quite positive that things going really, really well. The season of 2019 might not yet be done for Jack, but we'll just hang in there and just let him recover for a little bit.
How unlucky for him, Kenny? It felt like for the first time in years last week had given him equilibrium. In a way, in his own words, he was able to purge what had been and set himself up, and the very next time he goes out to play, this is his fate.
Yeah, look, it's incredibly sad for Jack from that point of view. As you said, he's sort of got some even ground for the first time in his football career last week, and everyone felt for him. And I'm sure his emotion came through on the screen. But for us as a football club, we felt that with him, and to see that happen to him on Saturday evening is really sad, because he was also playing another very good game. It was just after three-quarter time, and he's had 20 touches and looking really comfortable in his footy. But that, that's just what happens in our game. It's such a brutal game, and Jack will recover and he'll make it back.
Tell you what, we all loved the first week, Kenny, when you played at the G and you won and you ran the opposition off their legs, and then on the weekend it wasn't sort of running off the legs sort of performance. It was a guts it out to the end, because the Blues were pretty solid, the Blues, and you won a different way. So how pleasing is that in the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, look, Robbo, it's really pleasing for us, obviously, because your resilience gets tested, and we got a bit of a margin on Carlton on the weekend before half-time, and then that, to their credit, they had a great third quarter, got themselves back in front, and that's when sides can really struggle to respond. And we're quite young, as they are, and we're out there, and we found a way to win, and I think that showed a little bit of resilience, and I think it's another really positive sign for us for 2019.
How hard is 0-2, Brad? You would have heard the numbers being bandied around. It depends whether you believe in behavioural economics or precedents in recent times.
Yeah, well, I believe in both. Yeah, look, it's difficult, but I think history is being rewritten to a certain extent with how the game is now being played. Our game on the weekend, there was 2 points the difference with less than 3 minutes remaining, and Brisbane won by 20. So, you know, the 3 centre bounce goals they kicked late weren't significant in terms of the result, but no doubt at some stage this year, you know, Lee Matthews used to use the adage that if you're more goals in front than there are minutes remaining, you've got the game won. That's not the case anymore. So there are going to be huge swings and roundabouts this year. We've already seen it from round 1 to round 2. So what I'm saying is hopefully that gives the side to 0 and 2 more hope than ever.
So we're all praising Brisbane. It was a pretty good performance. I thought you guys controlled the first quarter, probably should have had some more score, and from then they evened up the contested ball a bit, and by the end the outside game seemed to hurt you. Is it a case that where your team is at the moment that you need all your players on the park? I mean, Ben Jacobs just a huge loss because he would have gone to Lockie Neal or had 44. Is it a case right now that you guys need all your players on the park?
I think it's the case for most teams. Look, Brisbane are a very good team now. You know,
what do they do well, Brad? What did they do well against you?
No, well, they're very well balanced now, and when you're a young side, you can lack a bit of balance either at the front end or around the ball. They've been building for a long time, so it gives you an opportunity to do that. But there are 2 big factors that come into it for Brisbane now. They've got roughly 43 players available on their list, and they've had those available for the majority of the last 3 years, which is in and of itself an incredible achievement. But they've also been able to bring in some players. So Lockie Neal comes in, Jared Lyons comes in. They're a more balanced team. So, yeah, Cameron forward. So they've got their players available, and they're a pretty complete list. And I think every team in the competition, when they've got all their players available, are going to be a good side. But Brisbane have done it well.
What did you see, Kenny? You came across to watch it live.
Yeah, well, I've seen 2 sides going at it pretty close for the best part of the day, and I wasn't sure what the result was going to be myself. And watching it, obviously, I've got a close eye on Brisbane because we've got them coming up. They're pretty exciting, as Brad said. They're an exciting group. They're got all ends covered pretty much. They've got some good talls down back, some talls up front. Obviously some very good inside mid. So they've got some excitement. They've got some energy right now, and I think they're a real challenge. And obviously we face them this week, so we know we've got a big game.
Are you a subscriber on the centre bounce clearance and just how pivotal in the game that is now?
Oh, absolutely, Jared. I mean, we've seen it firsthand ourselves, and we actually played Brad in a JLT game, and I think the first quarter the Kangaroos might have got 4 or 5 quick goals from centre bounces, and we did something similar in about the third quarter, I think, and we played another JLT game against the Crows. We were down by 34 points. We closed the margin to about 4 in about 3 minutes, and we're right in the game. So there's some swings coming in the game.
Do you like that, Brad? Do you like that on the weekend it went against you? But do you like the fact that the teams have got that ability? If they've got the resolve, there's the fact that they can get back into games and win.
Yeah, I do. And look, I sit on the competition committee, so I mean I've had these discussions over an 18-month period. So I certainly endorsed the changes because I think it's really good for the game. I didn't anticipate being on the receiving end of it in the first 2 weeks. We rank 18th for centre bounce clearances and scores against from those clearances. So it's hurt us initially, but it is really good for the game. And you only have to have one of those centre bounce clearance losses to completely change your structure, and most coaches would be devastated if it happened again.
So how much are you panicking or worried about your centre square setup at the moment at round 3?
No, I'm not panicking at all. I mean, it's just a slight adjustment. If you look at centre bounces, which we've clearly gone to work on over the last 24 hours, it is that the margin between you clearing the ball and scoring and them clearing is a fingernail. And a lot of the time it's relatively random. Now we've got to go to work to take some of the random nature out of it. And there's no doubt we got too aggressive in our centre bounce. So, we probably got excited, Ken, in the game against you where we kicked 7 centre bounce goals and you guys kicked 5. And it looked like, I think our midfielders thought, gee, this is going to be a new way of scoring. But we've been on the receiving end of it.
Can you do work to enhance your chances of winning those centre clearances, Ken? How much of a focus is that in training at the moment?
Oh yeah, I think every side's going to put a lot of work into it because there's such a big dividend at the end of it, and you know we've positioned ourselves well with a couple of really key ruckmen in our side. So you know we've sort of hopefully a little bit ahead of that because we've got Scott Lycett now and also Paddy Ryder, and I think you know the importance of a dominant ruck gives you that ability, as Brad talked about, to maybe get going a little bit earlier in some of your movement, which gives you that fingernail gap that you're looking for, and you know we certainly think that that's an important part of our game. And what you do in front and behind is still pretty significant. I think you can just tinker a little bit with those spots and see what happens.
What did Lycett do? Now, you went after him and you got him. What Lycett's game on the weekend was sensational, Kenny. What is he doing so well that you went, I'm going to go get this man and he's going to lead our ruck?
It was interesting, Robbo, because, you know, sometimes you look from a distance, you're not quite sure of all the strengths and weaknesses of every individual you go after. But we've been pleasantly surprised that Scotty's weapons around the ground are really, really important. He's such a big follower of the ball and he hunts after the ball really well. He's almost like an extra big body mid for us now. He just really challenges himself to get after the ball. So his ability to chase and harass and get the ball forward, which you've seen on the weekend, you know, late in the game, he kicked the ball forward off 2 balls for us and he took an unbelievable ground ball. So, you know, he's really passionate about coming home to Port, and I think that's really important too when you do get back home, and he's certainly playing like a really top-edge ruckman at the moment for us.
All right, we'll keep you in places. After the break, prohibited contacts. Where are we? Where do we find ourselves after 2 rounds? Where are we expected to be? How do we get out of it? On the Couch follows 360. Jared, Gary, Brownie and Roosie with their views on how round 2 unfolded.
To Daniel, to Stringer, having an impact at last. That big goal in the last quarter. Good kick, gives Pickett a chance. It's over, it's all over. The drought, the damn wall is busted. It's 62 long years. What a game Pickett has played.
That's the dream, isn't it? Liam Picken lived it. Brad, how difficult are these contemplations around concussions in the modern landscape?
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. I think that it's a very, very serious issue, as we know, but it's not like as unfortunate as ACL injuries are, it's not as if you can go and get a scan and have it definitively diagnosed. So the concussion's still being diagnosed symptomatically, and the unknown is the challenge. And we know the risks are significant, but it's an absolute tragedy to lose someone like Liam. And I watched Liam battle away at Williamstown as a junior, and just a really hard, tough competitor, as you can see there. But he had to fight for his opportunity at AFL level, and I'm just glad to see him walk away with a premiership medal.
When you have a player like Ben Jacobs missing so much footy, Brad, not that you think of Liam Picken, but do you have a concern that, God, we might have a guy, because I know you keep on saying and there's no date yet for his return. Is it, how much of a worry is that for you?
Yeah, it's a concern. Ben's a different case because he's not a cut and dried concussion. He's got some other symptoms which we think are more at play rather than a concussion. But we have had someone like Lee Adams who was forced into retirement through concussion. So I'll put Jacobs in a separate category because we don't refer to that as purely concussion. But Lee Adams was a tragedy because he was a coach's favourite. He was just a bit of the heart and soul fabric of your football club. So to lose, and Picken looked to be that for the Bulldogs to me from the outside. So when you lose someone like that, I think it's even harder.
The hot button debate, Kenny, is prohibited contact. Where do you think we are after 2 rounds?
Oh, look, Jared, I think we're a little confused. I think we're a little lost, to be honest. You know, I think maybe we had a fair bit to do with the adjustments, perhaps in the Scott Lycett, Paddy Ryder on Max Gawn scenario. I think it's just a little bit too far. I think if you look at the couple of the incidents from the weekend, you would ask some more questions about what's being paid and what shouldn't be paid. From my point of view, the free kick on the weekend that Scott Lycett had paid against him, I actually thought it was a free kick from the other end of the ground from us that must have been paid. One of our players, perhaps in the forward end, had done something wrong, because Scotty didn't really do too much wrong. That's not the game that I'd like to watch, or certainly not the game that the players would like to play, I don't think.
So it's the least amount of contact you would have, the slightest bump on Phillips from behind. If that was paid routinely, Kenny, what do you think that would lead to in the game?
Oh, look, there'd be just too many free kicks for a start. It'd be crazy. You know, the fact that you can't bump into a player anyway or any conditions is just not right from the game. I think Steve Hocking and the group have done an amazing job with the rules and stuff. I think this is one that, and knowing Steve pretty well, I'd say Steve wouldn't like the game being, played like that either. I think it'd be, pretty simple. Look, that's just maybe gone a little bit too far, and it's easy to fix. It's just a simple, hey, let's just get some hold of what's going on here and go, you know what, we just need to umpire the punches and that we're talking about. I think that's okay. If we want to get the punches out of the game, it's definitely right. But some of the stuff we've seen on the weekend, I've got some big questions on.
Brad, you've sat on the competition committee.
Yeah, I think that the message is the key, and clarity is required. Punching's easy, because if it's a clenched fist and you make contact regardless of force, and the AFL have made that crystal clear, that regardless of force, if you make contact with someone with a clenched fist, it's a free kick. And so we're really clear on that. The prohibited contact, I think, what's a bump, what's prohibited contact, and I think that if one of those is paid really early in the game, it sets the tone for the game. But I think any football-loving person would look at those and think they're not free kicks. That's not AFL footy the way it should be played. So, but we could show examples where multiple, elbows in the back of players are not paid. So, there's always this overreaction and then reaction to that. So, I think after this round it should settle down.
So what does the coaches make any play on this? Do they contact via your association Steve Hocking and say, we need guidance on this? Kenny just said they're confused. You've got to talk to the players.
No, we'll get clarity throughout the week. I mean, that Steve Hocking has made that very clear, and we've had great clarity around whether it's rule interpretations, and we haven't had it yet, but we'll definitely get clarity around those prohibited contact free kicks. Deliberate out of bounds is an example last week. There were some ones paid that were just not right, and the umpires department fixed it really quickly by saying they weren't right. And I think if the umpires come out and say those free kicks weren't free kicks, then we're clear.
Kenny, will Ollie Wines play this week?
Yeah, we expect so, Jared. We're really hopeful that he'll play. He's got a couple of training sessions to get through, but as I said here tonight, I'd be, I'm in the high 90s expecting Ollie to play when it comes to percentages. So we'd be really excited to get Ollie, a joint captain back into the team. It's it's pretty exciting as a club, and for him to come out and be a captain in his own right with Tommy Jonas this week.
It'd be something to look forward to if he's able to get back for an unbeaten clash. It'd be a beauty. Good on you, Kenny. Thanks for joining us.
Good on you, boys. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on.
And so you've got Hawthorn, who I suspect will be a bit wound up about after what they did yesterday.
Yeah, they won't be the only ones.
Yes.
Good answer.
Very good. Good to have you as part of it.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, Robbo.
Brad Scott and Ken Hinkley with us on Coach's Night. Tomorrow night, Players' Night, we switch Jack Revolts. He's going to miss some footy. He'll tell us the exact diagnosis tomorrow. And Adam Treloar, the Pies, prepare for a fresh look at the Eagles.